Hello YouTube friends and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Deidre from our Upcycled Life and I do lots of thrifting, upcycling, repurposing, and DIY content. And today's video is all about upcycling glass jars and bottles into Halloween decor. After you watch this video, if you've got wine bottles in your recycling bin, you're going to want to go and grab them. Okay, let's get started. First upcycle is this mason jar. I found it in my stash and it actually has a little votive holder in it. It's going to be perfect for this project. You're going to need some polyacrylic sealer, some glitter, a little dish, and you want to wipe it really clean with an alcohol wipe. We're going to take our polyacrylic sealer. This is a satin finish. You can use any finish, it won't matter. And just pour a little bit in the jar. What we're going to do is we're going to swirl it all around the inside of that jar. So you want to have enough of that polyacrylic sealer in there that it's going to coat the whole inside. And just swirl it around until it's completely covered. And then have it over a dish so we can drain out any of the extra. Now we've got it all completely coated. You don't want to have it pooling in the bottom, so you want to have just enough there just to cover up the sides. Take your glitter, I'm using orange, and just pour it into the bottom of that jar. And then we're going to just swirl the glitter into that polyacrylic sealer. And this creates a fantastic effect. It takes quite a bit. I used almost that whole vial of glitter, and we can always dump out the extra that we don't use onto the piece of paper and put it back into the vial when we're finished. And this is what it's going to look like. We're going to set it aside and we're going to let it dry completely. It'll probably take overnight. I'm going to make a graphic on my Cricut with some vinyl. I'm just using permanent vinyl. I've put it on some transfer tape and I'm going to apply it onto that glass jar. This is a really simple Halloween DIY, and the glitter on the inside, when you put a candle in it, lights it up and it looks really spooky and really fun. Next project is another really simple, easy DIY. Save your wine bottles and take the labels all off, clean them up really well, and then we're going to paint these with my homemade chalk paint. I have a recipe for my homemade chalk paint. I'll put that link down below in the description. I also have a really good video on how to remove labels from glass bottles, and I'll put that down below too. Now, once that chalk paint has dried, we're going to layer on the acrylic paint. Now, you can't put acrylic paint as your base coat. You need to have chalk paint as your base coat or it will peel off. But once you have the chalk paint down, you can put acrylic paint on top of it. We're creating some candy corn wine bottles. I painted on some yellow and then I went on with the second coat and I used a sponge. It just gives a nice smooth finish. Set that aside and let them dry. I'm doing 3 wine bottles that are candy corn theme. Then we're going to go in with orange on the bottom. Same thing, I'm going to paint on that first coat, let it dry, and then sponge on the second coat, and it gives a really nice finish. And you can also edge around really easy. I'm going to make some hang tags for these bottles. These are just pieces of scrap MDF that I've painted with some chalk paint, and then I printed off my graphics on my LaserJet printer, making sure to reverse the text. And all these graphics are available in my Etsy store if you want to make some of these yourself. I'll put the link down below in the description. We're doing the Mod Podge reverse graphic transfer method, and I've put my Mod Podge mat on the graphics and going to center it right on those tags, set it aside, and let them dry completely. I never throw out any scrap pieces of wood because basically anything can be turned into a little ornament or a little sign. I'm going to add some twine to the neck of that bottle, tie it on nice and tight, and then we're going to add a little bit of a burlap bow. I think that will look nice. I just picked up the burlap at the dollar store. If you accordion fold that burlap, it makes a really pretty bow, just going back and forth and then just secure it with a piece of twine and attach it to the bottle. It's going to look really cute. You can just tie that piece of jute at the back, and then we're going to hot glue that right onto the bottle. Okay, my tags have sat for 24 hours. I just dampened it with a little bit of water, rubbing off the paper, and the graphics are left on the little tags. I'm going to drill a hole in the top, and then we're going to attach them to the wine bottles with a little bit of jute. Next upcycle is a really great DIY to do with your kids. We're going to paint this with the black homemade chalk paint, covering the whole vase. Make sure you're using chalk paint because any other paint will not adhere to glass properly. Next step, I wanted to experiment a little bit and see if I could get the Mod Podge to crack the white paint that I'm going to put on top. I do this with Elmer's glue all the time and it works really well, but I've never been able to really get the Mod Podge to work that great to crackle, but I thought I would give it a try. So I put the Mod Podge on and don't let it dry. While it's still wet, I'm putting on my top coat of my white chalk paint and crossing our fingers, we're gonna see if it's gonna crack or not. When you're doing this technique, you wanna make long strokes. You don't wanna work that Mod Podge into the paint, and just let it set aside and let it dry and see if any crackles appear. So here's the result. I didn't really get that much cracking, a little tiny bit there. So I'm gonna revert back to my Elmer's school glue, always works. Now here's where the fun part comes into play. Get all your Halloween color acrylic paint out and just apply it to the bottom of that vase and just let it drip down wherever. And once that one has completely dried, then we're going to apply the next color. And again, just let it drip down wherever. This is all about being messy and drippy, and the kids will love doing this technique. Making sure to let each color dry before you apply the next color. And it's all completely dry now, and I'm going to clean up around the edge from where the paint has dripped on it, make it nice and smooth and make it look pretty. And I'm going to take it outside and give it a really good coat of that polyurethane spray to seal everything in. Now I want to add some spooky floral to the inside of this vase. I had this stone textured spray paint, so I found some old branches in my backyard, gave them a speckle of that stone paint, and then I also had some old floral that I'd picked up and I've had for ages, and I decided to give it a little bit of a spray with that speckled paint too. Just gives it kind of that dead, wilty Halloween feel. And this is what we created. I hope you've enjoyed today's Halloween upcycles and have inspired you to make something like this yourself. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. And if you love this video, I'm sure you'll love either of these next two. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any great DIY content. Take care.